Hello everybody and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be showing you how we can create different types of tower AI for a tower defense game made in Unity. Now if you've been following along with the channel for the past couple videos, you know that I'm recreating the classic Flash game Bloons tower defense. Now because feature creep is a real thing and of course we always want to add more and more cool features to our game, I started to add in some features that weren't exactly present in the original Bloons tower defense game. This specifically relates to balloon targeting for different towers. So now when we have a tower defense game, we of course have all the, enemies or whatever going along the path. Basically, we can select one of our towers and we can kind of influence the behavior of what types of enemies that it likes to target. So in this case, we're going to be going over a couple of them, basically how to target the first enemy, the last enemy, the strongest enemy, the weakest enemy, and the closest enemy. And then in another video coming out in just a couple weeks, I am going to be doing another one sort of related to this, talking about different types of towers and how we can actually have them attack differently. So today we're just kind of using the standard dart tower who basically just throws one single shot at the first balloon it sees. However, we can kind of get a little bit more complex with this and maybe start, throwing in different weapons, or maybe the tower shoots out multiple projectiles. So we're going to start getting a little bit more complicated with the attacking over the next couple weeks. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on that video or some other really cool videos that I have planned coming up, because there are just a lot of really cool things coming to the channel that I'm really excited about, and I think you will all be too. And if you do find today's video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button, and if you do have any questions or suggestions for future videos, you can always leave those down in the comment section below. Alright, so we will get into the coding in just a sec, but I do just want to show you a few things over in Unity. So here we have kind of like a basic representation of what one of our monkey dart towers looks like. Over here in the inspector, you can see that it does have a couple custom scripts attached to it. The only really ones that we need to worry about right now are the tower controller. And right here, I just have like an enum where we can set the different tower types. So you have, first, last, strongest, weakest, closest, and no target. And I also do have a projectile attack controller script, which we will be getting to later. As a child object, I do have this kind of detection radius, and this basically just kind of shows you the radius of, it's essentially its detection range of where it can see balloons and actually shoot at them. And basically this just consists of a circle collider that is set as a trigger, and we do have one custom script, which is the tower balloon detector script. And then you can kind of see these little red squares here. These are the actual balloons. All they have on them is a balloon controller script, as well as a rigid body and box collider 2D. All right, so pretty standard Unity setup. So now let's jump into some of these scripts. So here we are on the tower controller script. You see just above it, we have defined just a couple enums. So for example, we have the tower state enum. So we have the placing tower state, which is basically the state that the tower is in after we click purchase for the tower. And then this is when we want to put it on the map, but we haven't decided where we want it yet. When we actually do place it on the map, then it's going to go into an idle state, and this idle state just means it's ready to attack. And then finally, we do have a cooldown state, so it's going to enter this cooldown state after it has sent an attack, and then it's waiting on cooldown until it can attack again. And then of course here we have this public enum for the tower target type, and this basically just defines the different types of target types that we can have for the tower. So in my implementation, I've put in first, last, strongest, weakest, closest, and no target. All right, so we'll include links to the whole GitHub repository for this project so you can check out the code yourself. But I do just want to point out a couple things here. So we have this on tower placed function, which is basically an event that gets triggered when we actually place the tower down. You'll see that it sets the tower state into an idle state, and then immediately after that we call the try attack method. Basically the reason that we want to do this is so if we place a tower down and there's already some balloons within the range, then we want to see if we can fire an attack right away. If there aren't any balloons in the range, then no attack is going to be fired, so that's all good. And the only other time that we call this try attack method here from the Bloon controller is in the on balloon enter function. And so the on balloon enter function is actually called from the on trigger enter 2D function that's attached to our tower balloon detector. So again, that's kind of that like bigger radius that detects when balloons actually come into firing range. And you'll see that I'm basically doing kind of a reverse if statement here. So I just say, if the other game objects.layer is not on the balloons layer, then I'm just going to return out of here. So basically we're just kind of filtering out. We're only looking for things that are on the balloons layer. So again, if it is, we'll call the on balloon enter, which goes back up to the tower controller. Again, we're going to do another inverse if statement to see if we're not in the idle state, then we're just going to return out of here. If we are in the idle state, then we'll go ahead and call the try attack function. So now the try attack function is calling another method called try attack on the tower attack controller. If that's unsuccessful, then we'll just return out of the method and nothing happens. However, if we are successful with this attack, then we're going to go ahead and set the tower state into towerstate.cooldown, and then we'll go ahead and start a coroutine for our cooldown timer. You can see what this cooldown timer looks like right here. But again, I do just want to mention that I'd started this new thing called Feature Fridays, and it's something that is delivered to your email inbox every Friday. And basically I break down one feature of the Unity game engine. Anyways, I bring this up because the one that I did last week was on coroutines. So feel free to go check out the link in the description below if you do want to see that article, because I think it's a really good in-depth article and it can show you how to properly use coroutines to do all sorts of cool things in game development. Anyways, back to the code here. So we'll go to this TowerController.cs. So now here we are in the Tower Attack Controller class, and you'll see here's the actual try attack method. And there are a lot of things going on here. So the first thing that we're going to do is look at the attack radius, and this is the actual collider 2D, which is detecting when balloons are in range. And then we're going to use the overlap collider method to basically find all the balloons within the radius. And the way that we do that is we apply this balloon filter onto it, which is just a contact filter 2D. You see that we're passing in a layer mask on the balloons layer, and we're setting the use mask flag to true. Of course, our results are just returned in this list of collider 2Ds right here. And then the result that we get is the number of the balloons that we have in range. So of course, if there aren't any balloons in range, we can just return false out of here and try attack basically fails. Otherwise, if there are balloons in range, we're going to use a little bit of link right here. So we can go to our list, the balloon colliders in range, and do a .select. Now this isn't necessarily going to be a video on link, but you can see that we do a balloon and then kind of the expression body type member there. And then we'll do a balloon.getComponent of BloonControllers.toList. So basically what this whole line does here, it's going to go through everything within this balloon colliders in range. It's going to do a get component of type balloon controller, and it's going to return them to a list. So we have this balloons in range here. So now this is actually a list of balloon controllers for all the balloons that we have in our range. So that is honestly probably the most complicated part of this whole thing here. And then ultimately what we want is to get a target location. And this is just going to be stored as a simple vector3. And then so we'll do that using this determine target function, and then we can just go ahead and pass in our list of balloon controllers. So now the determine target method here, like I said, it takes in a list of balloon controllers, and we're just going to do a switch depending on what tower target type our tower controller is under. So this of course is the different target types. So we have, first, last, strongest, weakest, closest, and no target. You'll see that for no target, that's an easy one. We'll just return vector3.0 here. And a lot of these ones up here are pretty similar, but I can just kind of run through the differences here. So you see, for example, if the tower type is first, then it's getting the first balloon position, which this is that method right here. Again, we're just passing in our list of balloon controllers. Now, one thing that I always do when I'm doing kind of like some comparison of a list, finding, the most of something or the least of something, you always want to set that value to basically be the first element of the array. So in this case, we're looking for the balloon that has essentially traveled the furthest down the path that is still within range that we're attacking, which I've in this instance called the furthest balloon. So again, we want to set this equal to the first element of the array, and then we can do our comparisons on that afterwards. And I know this wouldn't necessarily work for all instances, but say for example, if we want to find the highest number in a list of numbers, a lot of times, your gut instinct might be to say, oh, let's set the highest number equal to 0. And then we can basically do, some comparisons on all the numbers, and then we find out which is the highest one. Well, what happens if the entire list of numbers that you have are all negative numbers? Your function for the get highest number is going to return the number 0, which is actually incorrect because, all the numbers are actually negative. So that's why you always want to set basically, your target to equal the first element of the list. So just a little bit of an aside there, but after that, we're just going to go ahead and do a for loop here. We're going to start on element of index 1. So of course, this is going to be the second element of the array because we don't need to necessarily compare the first element with the first element. That would be a little bit redundant, wouldn't it be? So then what I'm doing here is basically we're just going to be setting the furthest balloon equal to balloon controller dot compare greater path progress, which is a static method, which I'll show you in just a sec here. But you'll see that we pass in our current value for the furthest balloon, and the current Bloon that we're on within our for loop. So then once we've done that, then we know that we have the furthest Bloon, and then we can just return the furthest Bloon.transform.position out of here. And then so if we look at, say, like the get last Bloon, you'll see that I'm basically doing a very similar thing, but it's just setting last Bloon equal to BloonController.compare least path progress. For the strongest Bloon, I'm doing BloonController.compare strongest. For the weakest Bloon, I'm doing BloonController.compare weakest. And then the get closest Bloon position, I'm actually doing all just within this class because that makes the most sense. Because in this case, we're going to be comparing the distance between the tower and whichever Bloon is the closest. So it's pretty simple. We're just doing kind of some distance comparisons to find the lowest distance of any Bloon from the tower. Now then, you can see the static methods that I've made here within the Bloon controller script. We have, so for example, the compare greater path progress. You see that this takes in two Bloon controllers, just called Bloon 1 and Bloon 2. And we just kind of do some comparisons here. I'm not going to go too into detail on how the actual path progress is determined, but you can kind of see that here. You see that for compare least path progress, it's going to be the exact same, except we just kind of switch around all these greater than, less than symbols. And then for compare strongest and compare weakest, we're basically just comparing the two different Bloons with their red Bloon equivalent, which is basically how many hits does it take to fully pop this Bloon. So of course in the Bloons tower defense games, when you pop one Bloon, it spawns another Bloon below it. So the Bloons that spawn more Bloons are, considered stronger. And so we might want to target those in some different circumstances. And then at the end, I also have a compare greater path progress. So if these two Bloons are of the same strength, then it's going to return the one that is further down the path. All right, and then back to the tower attack controller, you'll see that basically, once this determined target has finished, we're going to go ahead and return a vector 3 for the target location, and then we'll call the attack method on the target location. Now, if we go down to the attack method, you'll see that there's actually nothing in it, but it is a protected virtual void. So that means we're going to be doing a little bit of inheritance here. So you see that I have this projectile attack controller, which again, this is the actual script that gets attached to the different objects. So like I mentioned, this is the one that is attached to that monkey dart tower. You'll see that we inherit from the tower attack controller here. Now here is where we actually implement the logic for the tower attacking. Again, I'm probably going to be going over this in another video, so I won't go over it right now. But again, we're just kind of setting some rotations and everything here, so it looks like the tower actually faces the Bloon that it's wanting to shoot at, and then sends the dart out at it. All right, so back over into Unity, we're going to go ahead and place some Bloons tower defense. Let's go ahead and spawn just a simple dart tower into the world here. We'll go ahead and start the round. I'm going to click on it so you can kind of see the target radius here. But you'll see that right now we're always shooting at the first target. So whichever one is furthest along, it's always going to go for the first one. Now, if we click on the tower, I don't have the UI built into this right now, but if we go ahead and select last, this is going to start shooting at the Bloon that's made the least progress within range. So you see that, even though we have Bloons further along, it's always going to go for the one at the very back of the pack that is, of course, within its range. And so, maybe sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't. Just kind of depends on the strategy that you're going for. So the next one in the list is going to be strongest. So this one is basically always going to go for the strongest Bloon that has in range. Now in this one, we're going to start to see some not only blue Bloons, but green Bloons. So this was basically always going to go for the strongest, but it's going to be the first of the strongest. So you see how it's always going for the front green one, the furthest along green one. And then we can go ahead and change the tower target type to weakest. So basically for weakest, it's always going to be targeting the furthest along red Bloon. So, oops, I'm still on fast forward there, but you can see, you get the idea. It's going for the weakest Bloon that has made the furthest along progress. Now, once all the red ones have gone, then it's gonna, start shooting for the green ones when there's green ones and yellow ones. Because the yellow ones are a little bit stronger than the green ones. And then the final one that we have is closest. This one's a little bit more difficult to show off, but basically just whichever one is closest in proximity to the tower. So it's basically always going to be going for the ones that are, right here. But so yeah, these are basically shown as like the closest ones to it. It's kind of a weird one, but I know they've implemented it in some of the Bloons games, just whichever one is in closest proximity to the tower. So anyways, that's how we can set up some basic tower targeting AI for a tower defense game made in Unity. Of course, in some of the next videos over the next couple weeks, I'm gonna be going over some actual different attack types so we can kind of have some more interesting things than just, you know, this one monkey tower shooting out one dart at a time. But anyways, I'm pretty happy with the progress that I've made so far in the Bloons tower defense game. It's definitely coming along. We can actually kind of, you know, start to play the game a little bit now, which of course is pretty exciting. So anyways, if you did find today's video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. Also feel free to subscribe to the channel for lots more videos on video game development and just, you know, some other really cool things coming to the channel soon that I don't think you're going to want to miss out on. So anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.